Breaking out of El Segundo tonight, you can feel it in the way the air changes around a locker room when a plan finally clicks into place. The kind of move that doesn't chase headlines, it fixes habits. Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report. I'm bringing you what shifts on the whiteboard right now, how the backcourt rotation gets untangled without sacrificing pace, why the front office chose toughness over aesthetics, and what the next 4 weeks look like when you plug an elite event defender into a team that has been begging for one. I'm going to map the defensive roles with and without Marcus Smart on the floor, explain where the steals and deflections actually come from in this scheme, show how the shooting gravity changes when you empower a low-usage wing to cut instead of stand. And yes, when we've earned it, I'll hit you with the headline you came for. Here's the brief up front, so you know what's coming without me blowing the surprise. First, I'll put numbers into plain English on why the point of attack hasn't held up through the first handful of games. Then I'll break down a 3-action defensive sequence that turns our weak side stunts into turnovers. After that, I'll lay out the rotation flow chart for the next road swing and how it protects legs for the fourth quarter. And finally, I'll deliver the news and what it means at the cap table and on the court tomorrow morning at practice. No fluff, just Lakers basketball done like adults. Let me set the scene with what we've actually watched. The Lakers' perimeter defense has been stretched, not because the guys don't compete, but because the geometry has been wrong too often. Late tags into the lane, nail help that doesn't recover, weak side corners staying a beat too long in no man's land while the ball handler snakes back to the middle. You've seen it. Pretty good first effort, then a second action where the ball pops and suddenly a shooter's feet are set. When Marcus Smart is in, the language of those rotations tightens and the urgency comes back into the possession. He yanks the screen higher. He shades the drive to a pre-assigned chest, and he calls the peel switch before the breakdown happens. But with Smart managing a quad and the guard room banged up, you've asked the system to be perfect around players who are still learning each other's cadence. Austin Reeves has been heroic as a scorer, shot-making, foul pressure, late clock poise, but asking him to be a primary bucket and the nightly point of attack eraser is not sustainable over 82. What the Lakers needed wasn't a maybe fix. It was a specialist who lets everybody else do their job at the speed the staff wants. That's exactly why this front office went hunting for a very particular profile: long arms, elite anticipation, and a professional willingness to win a possession without touching the ball on offense. The league has plenty of wings. Very few live in passing lanes like it's a job with bonuses. Before I launch the film stuff, here's the human part I noticed from conversations around the building the last 2 days. There's a calm in the room about roles. Guys know that last year's pain points weren't about star power. They were about the gaps between actions. Late closeout, missed box, cheap and one, where games are actually lost. The staff wants predictable stops, not heroic ones. When you listen to coaches describe what they love about the best defensive wings, they don't talk swagger. They talk steps. First step across the body to cut the drive off the middle. Second step to square. Third step to show hands without fouling. Fourth step to rebound in traffic. It's choreography. Add one player who loves that dance more than points on his stat line, and your entire structure breathes. That's been the theme in meetings. One defender who buys you a second and a half. A second and a half is the difference between a contested three and a clean one, between a deflection and a swing pass, between a long rebound that fuels transition and a live ball turnover that turns into a layup. This group needed those seconds. Now let's talk scheme with names and jobs. The Lakers have toggled between drop and at-the-level coverages depending on opponent, with an emphasis on shrinking the floor in early offense so rival guards feel hands at the nail. The problem has been the after of that first stop. Once you force one pass, the defense has to snap back into shape, and that's where the second closeout has been a step short. Enter the new piece. With a true elite event creator on the wing, you change the risk-reward of every skip pass. The instant the ball goes airborne, his hips are already turned, the hand is already in the lane, and the offense begins to second-guess the next throw. Add Marcus Smart's voice to that chaos and you get the sequence the staff loves. On the first pick and roll, push the ball handler into the loaded side, stunt hard from the low slot. Then peel switch the roller so the weak side big never has to fully commit. When the skip inevitably comes, that long-armed wing is already halfway home, arriving on the catch with inside foot down and hands active, which forces a bounce pass that isn't there. Deflection, run out, easy too. That isn't theory. That's how you build 10-point runs against good teams without hitting a single heroic three. I'll keep it real on offense because the highlight packages can lie. We did not need a high-usage scorer. We needed a play finisher who understood that his best shots are the ones he doesn't take because his cut dragged a helper out of the lane. In this offense, a low-usage wing with elite feel turns dribble possessions into one-pass finishes. It's the cut that opens the corner. It's the 45 cut that forces a top lock to unlock a swing. It's the empty side relocation that pulls a shot blocker just enough for the drive to breathe. That's how you make life easier for Austin Reaves when he's living at the free throw line. That's how you multiply Marcus Smart's edge attacks when he sees a shoulder and goes. And when the ball swings back, yes, the corner three has to be there. The staff has hard benchmarks for that shot. Feet set, windows clean, no sidestep unless the clock says so. The new piece has quietly been around league average on open and wide open looks the last 2 seasons, after a cold start in his previous stop. More importantly, he doesn't hunt them, he earns them. There's a difference between a reluctant shooter and a disciplined one. This move is about discipline. Let's get practical and talk rotation. Over the next 2 weeks, the plan is to keep the guard minutes sane while rebalancing the wing defense. Expect Smart to own the loud matchups, picking up full court in short bursts, living in the opponent's handle and setting the defensive tone. Reaves gets the primary scoring wing reps and second-side playmaking, with a cleaner runway because someone else is eating the toughest action. The newcomer slides between them as the plug. First stint next to Smart to set the language, second stint next to Reaves to absorb the point of attack while Austin cooks. That third and fourth quarter, you'll see the chess. Cross-match him onto the hotter hand, then scram him out after the switch so we never end up with a small isolated on an island without a plan. On dead balls, we'll dial up zone wrinkles. 2-3 with the new piece at the top to bait a lazy wing pass, or a 1-3-1 look for 2 possessions just to throw a scouting report into the trash. The goal isn't to become a zone team. The goal is to make an offense think for 2 extra steps per trip. There's another benefit you feel but rarely name: whistle control. Elite hands defend without fouling. Look at how many of our great nights last season turned when a key piece picked up his third early in the second. A specialist with a reputation for clean aggression changes the way a crew chief looks at contact. When a defender is on time and square, he gets calls. That matters in April. It lets the staff hold lines with bench lineups instead of white-knuckling every second. That's part of why the front office kept calling on this profile, even when the cap math made it look tight. Because it isn't just the 6 points and 2 steals. It's the way those steals come and the way the game feels for everyone else when they know the ball might pop out at any moment. I've kept you long enough. You've earned the payoff. The Lakers have completed the move. Matisse Thybulle is a Laker, on an expiring number that fits this season's cap puzzle without mortgaging the summer. On a role that was pitched to him clearly: defend the primary action. Live in the gaps, cut with purpose, shoot it when it's clean, pass it when it's not. On a team that wanted more stops than slogans. The medical's cleared, the staff is aligned, and the room is already talking about how the weak side rules change with his wingspan stationed at the slot. This isn't about selling you a savior. It's about adding a specialist who makes everyone else's job simpler. What changes immediately? Matchups at the nail look different. Our low man arrives earlier because he trusts the recovery behind him. Smart can gamble for 1 extra dig because he knows the skip is no longer a freebie. Reaves gets to play more 1.5 defender instead of living on an island and then trying to carry offense on the other end. The second unit inherits identity, defend, run, finish, and your fourth quarters stop feeling like you're trying to outshoot everything. Even the timeline fits. Hip management is already mapped with the performance staff, and the training room has a ramp plan designed around back-to-backs. You don't add chaos. You add certainty. Let me paint you 2 possessions, the kind that swing a road game, and stretch them out so you can feel the details that decide a fourth quarter. The opponent opens with 77 into an empty corner pick and roll to target our 5. Smart angles the ball to the sideline, shows chest without overcommitting, and calls the peel before contact. Our 5 sights at the level with short, choppy feet, ready to backpedal. Matisse is stationed at the nail, inside foot forward, hips half turned to the weak side so he can read both the pocket pass and the skip. The handler snakes back, standard counter, so Matisse shrinks the gap 1 step, flashes hands to muddy the pocket, and baits the passer into thinking the corner is free. The skip comes, of course it does, and that's where his career lives. 1 gather step, 1 telescoping reach, fingertip to leather, and the ball is floating like a tossed set of car keys. He corrals it in stride, and now it's a clean 2-on-1 the other way. Lay up. No celebration, just eye contact. Point to the spot on the floor where the trap will come next time. Same quarter, same matchup, the opponent thinks. Don't throw that again, so they flow straight into Spain to free a slot shooter. Smart calls the back switch early. Our big bumps the roller and retreats, and Matisse shadows the cutter through the paint like a mirror, hand on the hip, eyes on the ball, never crossing his feet. When the flare hits, he's already ghosting past the screen to arrive on the catch with high hands, low hips, and a chest that absorbs contact without a whistle. No foul, bad shot, long rebound. And because he's wired for next play, he immediately flips lanes in transition, dragging a defender to the corner so our ball handler has a runway. Even if you don't chase the X's and O's, you feel the rhythm shift from your couch. Fewer oh no breakdowns, more there it is, stops that stack into an 8-0 run without a single hero 3. Later in the same stretch, you'll see the layer beneath it. ATO hammer counter from the opponent to punish our strong side help. Smart tags high, Matisse sits in the window, shows zone eyes, then sprints through the baseline drift like a sprinter leaning through the tape, turning what looks like a practice shot corner 3 into a rushed floater. That's the hidden math he brings. He steals a half-second on every read and turns it into points you don't have to manufacture. I'll keep the cap talk simple and then get out of my own way. But let's actually say what simple means. The Lakers bought a playoff skill set for a postseason price without touching the pieces that matter in July, and that's not a slogan, it's a pathway. Expiring money in, short-term role clarity locked, 0 poison pills attached, and a runway that keeps your summer tools intact whether you're aiming at internal raises, a targeted exception, or a strategic consolidation. That matters because it says this front office isn't chasing the rumor cycle, it's sequencing. Stabilize the perimeter now, evaluate fit alongside Smart and Reeves over real minutes, and arrive at the draft with optionality instead of obligations. You can like complicated trades and you can like simple ones. This is the rare clean one. Acquire an elite defensive wing whose offense doesn't clog your stars, whose deal doesn't choke your future, and whose presence tightens every possession by half a second. And half a second is the whole sport in April. Half a second turns a clean release into a late contest, a risky skip into a deflection, a scramble foul into verticality, and a shot that dies on the front rim. That's the math I care about, and it travels on the road, back-to-backs included. Now it's your turn because identity is a group project in this city. Do you sign off on the shape this creates, hard-nosed? Event-driven defense on the wing, stars getting cleaner reads late, and a second unit that eats off live ball turnovers? Or would you rather have pushed chips for a higher usage scorer to soak early offense until the room gets healthier? Drop it below. How are you staggering Smart, Reeves, and Thybulle on the first road back-to-back? What's your closing 5 against a big, bruising group that pounds the glass? How many corner 3s a night do you want Matisse taking before you tell him to shift back into 45 cuts and baseline relocations? Give me your Denver plan. Who does he start on, and when do you scram him out of switches? And your Wolves plan when the game slows into a rock fight. I read every take, and I'm stealing the best lineups for the next film breakdown. My conclusion stays the same, and I'll stamp my name on it. This was the right swing at the right time. The Lakers didn't chase noise. They solved a problem. Matisse Thybulle brings elite deflections, a clean defensive conscience, and low-maintenance offense that makes star life easier. You'll feel it the next tight fourth quarter when the other coach pauses before calling his pet action because there's a hand in that passing lane now. If you want every update the second it hits, smash like, subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report, and flip on notifications. I'll have the first practice clips The rotation tweaks from the road, and the numbers that matter without wasting your time. Welcome to Los Angeles, Matisse. Let's make defense fashionable again, and keep it that way.